15 scandalous stories about Princess Diana leaked by King Charles and his aides. In the aftermath of her tragic death, Princess Diana's life became a canvas for numerous salacious stories and damaging leaks, many of which were allegedly orchestrated by those closest to her. King Charles and his inner circle are said to have painted a picture of a woman on the brink, plagued by instability and prone to outbursts. These narratives reportedly aim to discredit Diana's public image and justify the royal family's actions, fueling a media frenzy that continued even after her death. In today's video, we'll uncover 15 alleged scandalous stories about Princess Diana leaked by King Charles and his aides to discredit Princess Diana. Number 1. Mental health struggles. The stories about Diana's battles with bulimia and depression were among the most scandalous and damaging leaks allegedly orchestrated by King Charles and his aides. These leaks aim to portray Diana as unstable and unfit for the demands of royal life, undermining her public image and justifying the royal family's treatment of her. One of the most shocking revelations was rumors of Diana's admission to a psychiatric ward, a story that was strategically leaked to emphasize her supposed instability. This leak was a purported move to discredit Diana and paint her as mentally fragile, incapable of handling the pressure of her role as a member of the royal family. Furthermore, reports of Diana's battles with bulimia were widely reported, casting a spotlight on her personal struggles with an eating disorder. These leaks not only invaded her privacy but also sought to portray her as emotionally and psychologically vulnerable, reinforcing the narrative of her instability. Number 2. Emotional instability. In a concerted effort to discredit Princess Diana, King Charles and his aides frequently leaked reports highlighting her emotional instability. These stories aim to paint a picture of a woman prone to erratic behavior, mood swings, and emotional outbursts, portraying her as a liability to the royal family. Accounts of Diana's temper tantrums and conflicts with staff and other royals were rumored to be strategically leaked, fueling the narrative of her volatility and unpredictable nature. These stories not only undermined her public image as the composed and graceful people's princess, but also sought to justify the royal family's treatment of her, casting her as the source of discord and dysfunction. Moreover, reports of Diana's jealousy and paranoia were frequently disseminated, depicting her as overly possessive and suspicious of Charles' relationships with other women. Number 3. Affair with James Hewitt. The affair between Princess Diana and James Hewitt was one of the most scandalous and widely publicized leaks. The existence of this affair was later confirmed by both parties, but its initial leaking served a dual purpose: to suggest infidelity on Diana's part and to counteract the damage caused by Charles' own affair with Camilla Parker Bowles. By leaking information about Diana's relationship with Hewitt, the royal family allegedly sought to shift the narrative away from Charles' indiscretions and refocus public attention on Diana's alleged transgressions. This move was a reported attempt to deflect criticism from Charles and portray Diana as the unfaithful partner, thus justifying the royal family's actions and decisions regarding their marriage. Number 4. Jealousy and paranoia. Accusing Princess Diana of alleged jealousy and paranoia was a calculated effort by King Charles and his aides to discredit her and undermine her public standing. These stories aim to paint a picture of a woman consumed by irrational fears and suspicions, particularly regarding Charles' relationships with other women. Accounts of Diana's jealous outbursts and possessive behavior were rumored to be strategically leaked, depicting her as emotionally unstable and unable to maintain healthy relationships. These leaks sought to justify the royal family's treatment of her by portraying her as the source of conflict and discord within the marriage. Moreover, reports of Diana's paranoia were disseminated, suggesting that she harbored unfounded suspicions and delusions. These leaks were likely intended to cast doubt on her credibility and portray her as irrational and disconnected from reality, making it easier for the royal family to dismiss her claims and maintain control over the narrative. Number 5. Manipulative behavior. The leaks depicting Princess Diana as manipulative were a deliberate attempt by King Charles and his aides to discredit her and justify their actions. These stories aim to portray Diana as a calculated and cunning individual who exploited her public image and relationships for personal gain. Reports surfaced that Diana used her children and her role as a mother to garner sympathy and support from the public. However, it is important to note that Diana's close relationship with her sons was well documented and is often regarded as one of the most genuine aspects of her life. These leaks suggested that her interactions with her children were carefully orchestrated to shape public perception and maintain her image as a devoted parent rather than genuine expressions of maternal love. Number 6. Difficult to work with. Portraying Princess Diana as difficult to work with was a calculated effort by King Charles and his aides to undermine her public image and justify their treatment of her. These stories aim to depict Diana as a demanding and challenging individual at odds with the palace staff and the royal way of life. Accounts from palace staff were rumored to be strategically leaked, describing Diana as a demanding and unreasonable employer, making excessive requests and creating a hostile work environment. These leaks sought to portray her as someone who was difficult to please and impossible to satisfy, casting doubt on her ability to fulfill her royal duties with grace and professionalism. Furthermore, reports surfaced of Diana's alleged conflicts with other members of the royal family and their staff. These leaks painted a picture of a woman who was constantly at odds with those around her, unable to maintain harmonious relationships or adhere to the established protocols and traditions of the monarchy. Number 7. Publicity stunts. Suggesting that Princess Diana's charitable work and public appearances were calculated publicity stunts was a deliberate attempt by King Charles and his aides to discredit her and undermine her public image as a humanitarian and advocate for the less fortunate. Stories surfaced implying that Diana's involvement in various charitable causes was not driven by genuine compassion or a desire to make a difference, but rather by a calculated effort to boost her own public profile and garner media attention. Reports also emerged suggesting that Diana's public appearances and interactions with the public were carefully staged and orchestrated for maximum media exposure. These leaks aimed to depict her as someone who craved the limelight and thrived on public adoration, rather than as a dedicated royal fulfilling her duties with humility and grace. It is worth noting that Diana's charitable efforts, particularly in areas such as HIV and AIDS awareness and landmine removal, were widely respected and had a lasting impact. Number 8. Depiction as a bad mother. Depicting Princess Diana as a neglectful or irresponsible mother was a devastating blow to her public image and a calculated effort by King Charles and his aides to discredit her role as a devoted parent. Stories emerged accusing Diana of leaving her children, Prince William and Prince Harry, to travel or attend events, suggesting that she prioritized her personal interests over her maternal responsibilities. Allegations also surfaced that Diana was neglectful in her parenting, failing to provide adequate care and attention to her sons. These leaks sought to depict her as an irresponsible and unfit mother, casting doubt on her ability to raise well-adjusted and grounded children within the confines of the royal family. Diana was known for her hands-on approach to motherhood, often seen publicly with her children in more casual settings, which contrasted with royal traditions. Number 9. Reckless spending. Accusing Princess Diana of alleged reckless spending habits was a calculated effort by King Charles and his aides to discredit her and portray her as financially irresponsible and wasteful. Reports surfaced criticizing Diana for her expensive taste in clothing, jewelry, and vacations, suggesting that she indulged in excessive and unnecessary expenditures. More stories emerged implying that Diana's spending habits were a source of tension and conflict within the royal family. These leaks sought to portray her as someone who disregarded the established protocols and traditions of the monarchy, prioritizing her own desires over the responsible management of royal resources. It is important to note that Diana's fashion choices were often in the public eye, and while she did spend on designer outfits, she was also known for recycling her outfits, a practice less common among royals at the time. Number 10. Romantic affairs. While it's widely known that Princess Diana did have relationships after her separation from Prince Charles, including with Dodi Fayed and Hasnat Khan, The narrative that these relationships were part of a smear campaign is highly speculative. Stories emerged detailing Diana's relationships with other men, suggesting that she engaged in multiple affairs throughout her marriage to Charles. These leaks aim to depict her as someone who disregarded the sanctity of marriage and betrayed her vows, casting doubt on her moral character and integrity. By leaking information about Diana's alleged romantic affairs, King Charles and his aides allegedly sought to shift the narrative away from Charles' own indiscretions and refocus public attention on Diana's perceived transgressions. Number 11. Temper tantrums. Depicting Princess Diana as prone to temper tantrums and outbursts was a calculated effort by King Charles and his aides to discredit her and portray her as volatile and unpredictable. Stories emerged of Diana's alleged conflicts and confrontations with palace staff, royal aides, and even members of the royal family themselves. More reports also surfaced suggesting that Diana's temper tantrums were a source of embarrassment and concern for the royal family, casting doubt on her ability to represent the monarchy with dignity and grace. These leaks sought to depict her as someone who was prone to emotional outbursts and lacked the self-control expected of a member of the royal household. While Diana did have moments of emotional distress, many of these stories are often criticized for being exaggerated or taken out of context. Number 12. Isolation from the royal family. Suggesting that Princess Diana isolated herself from the royal family was a calculated effort by King Charles and his aides to portray her as detached and unwilling to fully embrace her role within the monarchy. Stories emerged depicting Diana as someone who purposefully distanced herself from royal life and duties, refusing to participate in events and activities expected of her as a member of the royal family. These leaks aimed to paint a picture of a woman who was disinterested in her responsibilities and unwilling to adhere to the established protocols and traditions of the monarchy. Diana's struggles within the royal family were well documented, and while she did distance herself from certain royal duties after her separation, she remained committed to her charitable work and public responsibilities. Number 13. Exploiting media. Accusing Princess Diana of exploiting the media was a calculated effort by King Charles and his aides to discredit her and portray her as someone who prioritized personal gain over the interests of the monarchy. Stories emerged suggesting that Diana actively courted media attention, staging photo opportunities, and leaking information to maintain public sympathy and support. These leaks aim to paint a picture of a woman who was more concerned with her public image than the integrity and reputation of the royal family. It's well known that Diana had a complex relationship with the media. While she did engage with them at times to share her side of the story, she was also often hounded by paparazzi, leading to her tragic death. Number 14. Mental health admission. Openly speaking about Princess Diana's alleged admission to a psychiatric ward was perhaps one of the most damaging and scandalous revelations orchestrated by King Charles and his aides. This deeply personal and sensitive information was reportedly leaked to the public with the intention of portraying Diana as emotionally and mentally unstable. The leak aimed to cast doubt on her credibility and justify the royal family's treatment of her, suggesting that she was unfit to fulfill her duties and responsibilities as a member of the monarchy. Diana was candid about her mental health struggles, but there's no verified record of a psychiatric ward admission. This breach of trust and confidentiality was likely intended to discredit Diana and shift the narrative in favor of the royal family, portraying her as emotionally and psychologically vulnerable. Number 15. Vindictive nature. Depicting Princess Diana as vindictive in seeking to undermine King Charles and the royal family was a calculated effort to portray her as a spiteful and vengeful individual, driven by personal grievances rather than a desire for reconciliation or healing. There were reports and interviews where Diana expressed her frustration and panic, particularly in her Panorama interview in 1995, but labeling her as vindictive oversimplifies her complex emotional state. Spreading stories suggesting that Diana's actions and public statements were motivated by a desire to retaliate against Charles and the monarchy, rather than a genuine pursuit of justice or resolution. King Charles allegedly aimed to paint a picture of a woman consumed by bitterness and resentment, unable to move past her perceived mistreatment and willing to lash out at those she held responsible. These allegations sought to depict her as someone who was driven by personal vendettas and unable to maintain the level of professionalism and decorum expected of a member of the royal family, making it easier for them to dismiss her concerns and maintain control over the narrative. The scandalous leaks and stories surrounding Princess Diana's life, allegedly orchestrated by King Charles and his aides, paint a picture of a woman who was relentlessly vilified and discredited by those closest to her. From allegations of mental instability to accusations of manipulative behavior and infidelity, these leaks aim to undermine Diana's public image and justify the actions of the royal family. As we reflect on these stories, it becomes clear that the leaks were a purported effort to shift the narrative and maintain control over public perception. By portraying Diana as an emotionally volatile, vindictive, and even neglectful mother, the royal family sought to discredit her accounts and experiences, making it easier for them to dismiss her concerns and maintain their position of power. Now it's your turn to weigh in. Do you think these leaks and stories about Diana were justified? Or were they a calculated effort to discredit her and maintain the royal family's control over the narrative? What are your thoughts on these scandalous leaks and the portrayal of Princess Diana by Charles and his aides? Do you believe these stories were accurate representations of her character? Or were they carefully crafted narratives designed to serve the interests of the monarchy? Leave your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. And before you go, don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends and family, and subscribe to our channel for more captivating content exploring the secrets and scandals of the royal family.